Hello again, rail fans. I have gotten a lot of questions over the past few months about railroad videography. You know, how do I make the videos that I make? I get a lot of questions about camera, you know, what my camera angles are, what kind of camera I use. This is it. This is what I shoot almost everything on. It's a Sony CX900. I got this in, I think, about 2013. So it's kind of an older camera. They make a new model of this now that I hope to get later this year. We'll see. I also have it on a really good Miller tripod with a really good Miller fluid head. This is a fluid head that puts up a lot of resistance, so you can do smooth tilts and pans with the camera, and that's what you got to have. Now, they make cheaper models than this, but I had this Miller. I had access to this Miller from a long time ago. I think I bought this in 2000. So this is 19 years old, but it's still working very well. Anyway, let me just give you a few examples of the things that I'm talking about.
Just like in still photography, shooting angle is an important component of good railroad video. We all like to get a little higher than the railhead. It gives you more train and less sky. One of my favorite spots over the years has been Bellevue on Southeast Front Street near Ocala. You're on a little hill that rises gently from the track. Even on a winter day at mid-morning, you can still get a nice shot of local A762. Bridges are a great place for good railroad angles, but in populated areas they can be dangerous, so be very careful. This is Southeast 132nd Street, just north of Summerfield Siding on the Florida S-Line. It's late morning, so I'm set up on the east or sunny side of the track. Being right on top of the train when the sun is high and behind us gives us a good look right down into those cars. Now, the newest and coolest angle is, of course, the drone shot. This gadget lets us put some altitude and movement into our camera. Here at Owensboro, northbound Q442 is emerging from the tree tunnel in the Dade City Hills in a late afternoon shot that would be lackluster at best without the drone. I've got my iris open enough to see the train coming through that shadow. I pull back and push left on the stick to swing around those engines as they enter the curve. What I am not thinking about is those bright white Tropicana cars also coming out of that tree shadow. I'm irised up so much that the Trops are blown out. No editing software can fix that. So I glide to a stop and use my right index finger to iris back down, getting the exposure on those treetops about where I want it. Now a little more detail appears on the Trops, but when the following black tank cars come along, they're dark. So I pop the iris back up a notch or two and fly over the train, getting what I can during these last couple of minutes before sundown. Overall, it's not a bad shot. To answer those questions about drone audio, you cannot get audio from a drone. The only thing you hear is a motor whine and wind noise. My Mavic Pro doesn't even record audio. So I put my camcorder on the ground on a tripod, frame it up, lock it down, and roll in record the whole time I'm flying. Later in editing, I pull the sound off the camcorder file and match it to the drone video. Works like a charm, and it's very easy. I've done this match on nearly every drone shot I've done for the past 6 years. Of course, the ground is where we get most of our video, track level or even a foot or two lower. At Folkestone, Georgia, during 2019's Winter Watch event, the elements of a two-train race were building. Amtrak Silver Meteor rolling south on track 2. But then that pickup truck comes into the frame. For just a couple of seconds, we weren't sure if he was going to go for it or not. Fortunately, he stopped. I'm pulling out with the zoom rocker on my right hand and panning left with the fluid head with my left hand. This is why I prefer camcorders over DSLRs for shooting video. The power zoom gives you some options you don't get with fixed lenses or manual zooms. When 97 passes, I swing back to the right and zoom back in for A764. Panning left again and then zooming back out. The slower freight makes it easier to get a smoother shot. It takes a lot of muscle memory to get this shot right. Practice is the word here. I also don't mind people in my shots. Shannon Sikora is ducking back, but I would have preferred him to stay put. Candid shots of interested rail fans. Or the three amigos, Travis Taylor, Tom Imlay, and Shannon Sikora. Three of the best rail fans and nicest guys you'll ever meet. Something else I've learned, a circular polarizer can take a powder blue sky and turn it into a deep blue sky at certain angles on certain days. I always carry one, about $40 for a Tiffin model at B&H Photo Video. In the afternoon rush at Folkestone, a train like Q025, an 11,000-foot double-stack beast out of Chicago, can offer a lot of angles, especially if it's running through a slow order. Witness precision scheduled railroading. 2 train consists, 3 engines, one of them pulling mid-train remote control, and 1 crew. If you're listening on your radio and you're patient, sometimes you can catch a second train on the same recording. It was A764 again, the daily local from Waycross to Baldwin, Florida and back. Today with a set of newly restored and freshly painted AC44 wide cabs. CSX has renamed them CM44 ACs. Here comes another monster, Q032, intermodal container and trailer train. But notice something about this big train. No double stacks, just well cars with single container boxes or trailers riding piggyback on articulated spine cars. This train is bound for North Bergen, New Jersey, just across the Hudson River from New York City. But there are a few obstacles for double stacks on that route. North of Washington, D.C., the CSX main line becomes the X-Baltimore and Ohio. In downtown Baltimore, the track ducks underground through a 1.5-mile bore called the Howard Street Tunnel. But in 1890, when it was built, no one envisioned 20-foot-high railroad cars. So the B&O built this tunnel for the trains of 1890. And that's about 18 inches too short for today's double stacks. This and 9 other overhead bridges to the north of there make up a choke point on the CSX Northeast Main. After years of haggling about who's going to pick up the $500 million tab for raising the clearance in the tunnel, CSX, the Port of Baltimore, the state of Maryland, and the federal government finally came to a deal in summer 2019. The project will raise the height above the rail at Howard Street and the 9 bridges to 20 feet 2 1/8 inches, enough for double-stack 3 class trains. In an effort to further modernize its railroad, CSX is constructing at Race Pond, Georgia, a Benavision Trimble Train View. It's an imaging, 3D scanning, and inspection system. This is a real 21st century defect detector with cameras and scanners that provide images of the train at mainline speeds, watching out not only for hot axles and dragging equipment, but cracks in wheels, status of safety appliances, position of handbrake wheels, car body condition, if the load is secure, condition of brake pads, and sends all that information instantly back to the operations office, letting them know of any problems. It was just daybreak on the Sunday morning of Winter Watch, so I cranked everything wide open on my camera. Iris, shutter, and gain all at max. That's why it's a little dark and a little blurry. South about a mile on the same line, at the distance signal to Hague, is the old DD, still in service. This was pretty advanced when they installed it in the mid-2000s. Hotbox detector, dragging equipment sensor, AEI scanners for car identification, and cameras to check for wheel cracks and other structural faults. Watch it grab an image of the lead engine on coal train NO13. It's still early and still overcast, so my shutter speed is at 30 frames, and that's not fast enough to catch a clear, crisp image of a moving train. I hung here at Hague for another 15 minutes, waiting for the local A794. Notice how a train horn sounds in a remote, quiet pine forest versus a busy urban area. Watch again as the scanner snaps a photo of the lead locomotive's rear truck. I don't know why it picked this one. Here's one more thing I've learned. When a train passes, I like to change angles several times during the shot. Let's zoom in for a telephoto look. Then pull out and swing to the other side for a going away shot. But it's also important to know when you're going to make those changes. Otherwise, you can easily blow some or all of your shot. That's my finger trying to manually focus on what's left of the train.
So those are just a few of the techniques that I use, and I have learned in the 20 years that I've been doing this railroad videography and stuff. So thank you again for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in the comments section below. I read all of those. I try to reply to a whole bunch of them, and I appreciate every one of them. So thank you very much. Also, don't forget to hit the like button out there if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. And until next time, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you somewhere out there on the high iron. Till then, this is Danny Harmon, out.